organizers and speakers in the individual sessions over the next days. I'm glad that we have an inspiring program, partly in English, partly in the local language. That's a good way to make the European robotic world opening widely visible by keeping the local touch and to show that Bosnia-Herzegovina has a lively robotic community. I would like to thank all the sponsors, especially ABB as the platinum sponsor and Pi Robotics as the bronze sponsor, as well as the different supporters like Project Adam, S Holding, Maxara, PitBA, and Targer. The opening also shows that robotics is getting a lot better in gender balance, as you can see in the composition of this panel. That was really great that we got this accomplished. Robotics has been an omnipresent topic in the media and will change our daily life, both at work and at home, and affect all generations. This goes along with the rise of new technologies such as AI, cloud technology, 5G, and big data in combination with advanced mechatronics, new materials, and battery technology. These technologies are about to be integrated into real-world applications, what people also call embedded AI, and it is about to change the way we interact with each other in the physical world beyond the transformations that already took place with smartphones and social media. The societal changes are enormous. There are many dimensions to be considered. As you know, COVID-19 has changed our daily lives worldwide, and we need to work globally together to cope with this situation and to be prepared for future challenging situations. We need to rethink the structure and processes. To give you an example, the most visible sector in the healthcare, one which shows many different tasks that could and will be addressed, such as hospital automation on the logistics side, surgery, rehabilitation, elderly care, and home care. This alone shows the huge potential to bring in technology to support societal and to address societal challenges we face in Europe and internationally. To make best use of available and emerging technology, we need to work on technology topics such as safe human-robot interaction, learning, easy non-expert user interfaces to specify system behavior in the user's language instead of programming it, which requires robotic expert knowledge. Therefore, robotics can be seen as the science of integration, where mechanical and mechatronic parts need to work smoothly with AI components, communication technology, and ERP systems, to mention a few. While this mainly addresses experts, we also need to raise awareness about the offerings of modern technology to the wider public, where the acceptance rates seem to be quite different in various parts of the world, and acceptance is key and the human factor is very important. To be able to build systems which need the integration of those technologies, and therefore the different communities need to speak the same language, both humans and machines. This calls for standardization in many areas and allows small companies to be part of larger business ecosystems. To be sustainable, this ecosystem requires clever brains, and we cannot start early enough to motivate children and young people to find their career in so-called STEM subjects. And this is one of the main reasons why we as EU Robotics organize the Pan-European Robotics Week. The European Robotics Week is opened by the virtual event in Bosnia-Herzegovina, but thanks to the national coordinators who do a great job, it's a pan-European event and even attracts people to connect to us, for example, via an invitation from the organizers of the Russian Robotics Week or people who organize individual events outside Europe. Last year, we had more than 1,300 events. In COVID times, many events which typically need access to physical educational robots could not take place, and therefore we have a lower number of events this year. A good sign is that we have, even in COVID times, a very good coverage of events across Europe, facilitated by a network of national coordinators where the public and especially the young generation can see and feel what it means to be part of the ongoing developments and be inspired to work in this field. These activities will also help to present a realistic picture of technology in contrast to expectations set by science fiction movies. I'm happy to play an active role in times of technical, economic, and societal challenges with a European perspective through the association EU Robotics. Thank you very much, and I wish us all good discussions and that we reach out to the public so that the inspiring field of robotics is seen as a highly attractive area to work in. Let's have a great week. And once again, thanks a lot to Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Thank you very much, Bernd. I need to ask you to use your imagination now and to hear the thunderous applause from our audience, which would surely have greeted your opening words there. Unfortunately, we don't have that facility here. We're in the virtual world, but no doubt the warmth of the audience response can be appreciated anyway. Okay, so thanks for getting us underway with the opening ceremony. Next, I would like to introduce Marina Bill. Marina has Swedish and Swiss nationality and is the Group Vice President and Global Head of Marketing and Sales for ABB's Robotics and Discrete Automation business. She joined the technology giant ABB in 1997. Since then, she's held several management positions across ABB. From 2013 to 2015, she was the Product Group Manager for ABB Power Generation Automation Products. And from 2016 to 2018, she was the Global Marketing and Sales Manager for ABB Grid Automation. And there are many other ABB roles on her extensive record. Marina holds a master's degree in industrial engineering and management with a specialism in thermodynamics from the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm. She's also a graduate from the Senior Leadership Development Program from IMD Business School in Lausanne, Switzerland. Please welcome Marina.
Thank you very much. So, let's see if we can. Thank you very much, everybody. And it's really been quite a year since a lot of us met in Poznan. It seems like it's a much, much longer time ago. Imagine which year this has been, and who knows what next year will bring. But I'm extremely happy that this event takes place. Despite everything that is happening around us, I think it's very important that we keep up this work. And I'm very happy and proud to be part of the opening ceremony also this year. So I was already introduced, so I don't need to do that. So let's go into, and I want to look a bit into the future. But before we look into the future, let's take a few steps back. And for those of you who might be as old as I am, you might remember in the beginning of 2000, there was a movie that was rather popular, Minority Report, that came out. And this Steven Spielberg movie talked about how the world would look like in 2054. And some of the really fancy thing that imagined that was that we were going to use predictive data, interface gestures and video calls, autonomous vehicles, small robots and unmanned drones, virtual reality rooms, augmented reality memories, a house with an intelligent voice, single-ear earphones instead of phones, and iris scanning and facial recognition. Now, we can tick off more or less everything on that list. So not even in the wildest Hollywood's fantasies, they would have imagined that this would happen already in 2020. So we are really, really having an explosion in technology at the moment. This, some of you might find funny, other ones might find this a little bit scary maybe, but generally I would say technology is at the moment going through the roof. New people, new segments, new areas, And this is just one example of what has become reality. So we're living in very, very special time, also from a technology point of view. If you look a bit about how the robotics market has really developed, and let's look back 10 years. And this is based on the last IFR report with the figures from 2019. And if you look upon the time when it started to see how many installed robots are there around the world in 2009 and up now to 2019, you can see it's really truly been a decade of growth. And even if in 2019, there was actually a decrease with 12%, there was still about 381,000 robots being, see if I can move this so that you can see it also. This is better. 381,000 units being installed around the world in 2019. This was the third largest figure ever recorded, actually, in the story since a decade here. And the two main segments, which is automotive and electronics, were the one who was mostly impacted, and both had a decline. But automotive still is 28% of the market, followed by electronics with 24%, metals and machinery with 12%, plastic and chemicals 5%, and food and beverage 3%. And if you look upon it from a geographical point of view, Asia went down with about 13%, so did Americas, and Europe about 5%, so a bit less. But 2/3 of every robot being sold is ending up in Asia today. Let's look a little bit more about the automation industry then. As I said, that's still the largest and the very important part of the robotic industry. But if you look upon the development starting from 2019 and see what a big part it is of all the units being installed around the world, and then you see somewhere around 2015 how the dark or the black arrow goes up much more, meaning how many more new segments, except automation, that kept growing, it's actually using robotics. In food and beverage, in retail, in logistic, every year we see more and more segments and different kind of companies really adapting the technology of robotics. Then looks a little bit about the robot density. So the number of robots per 10,000 workers. And it's much more countries in the world that is having robots than only the ones you can see on this list. But these are the top countries. And let's look from 2009 here, how the average number of, or the robot density per country has developed. So you can see how it's literally exploding in a lot of countries as we develop over time. And the average now in 2019 is 113 robots per 10,000 worker. In Europe, we are then on 114, so more or less average, US 104 and 118 in Asia. Singapore leads with a density of 918 per 10,000 worker. And the 5 largest countries being US, Japan, China, Germany, and Korea, they have 73% of all the robot installation. But if you look upon the top 20 countries of the highest density, 12 of these countries are actually in Europe. So we are looking forward now also for the years to come, how many more countries and how these average figures will continue to explode. Now going a little bit closer into today's world, I think the last months and COVID has really shown us how the awareness generally for automation, but for robotics in particular, has really increased. And how robotics has demonstrated which a crucial part it can take in a situation like the pandemic we're in now. And for a much larger audience, and just looking at media clippings, how much more attention and understanding this technology has gained the last months. And just giving some of the examples, I think we all and a lot of people realize now how good robots are in social distancing. That's really working good with a robot. How important production in time like this, and therefore the autonomous production, what an important part that is. We all love to talk about digitalization and artificial intelligence, but here really to see we can do commissioning of robots with digital commissioning of robots. The reshoring, and in order to risk minimize, to also making sure we can produce locally. So just some of the things that COVID has brought up on the agenda. But if you look back a little bit on the mega trends, the big trends that is moving our industry since years, they have actually not changed in this COVID time. Even though a lot of things changed, they haven't, but they have been accelerated. The individualized customer with the batch size 0, the using of digitalization, the big challenge we are having demographically with labor shortage and generally uncertainty. And uncertainty not only now being trade wars and natural disasters, but also the pandemic. Those mega trends has only been accelerated, and we really need productivity and quality, but very much we need flexible production, and it needs to be simple. It needs to be simple and ease of use, because also of all these new segments and other large type and also small size of companies adopting to this technology. There is lots of studies how much technology is being adopted at the time. And this is just one of them. It was about 3,000 managers who was asked. And I think it's the core is that is really saying that intelligent automation is really increasing customer satisfaction. So the adoption rate that we see technology is going through now has just begun, I would say, or it's been going on, but it's going quicker and quicker, as we can see. This is a little bit of a really short flash on from Automatica just a couple of weeks ago, where it was asked at a webinar that we had with the Automatica with IFR, what is the most important trends for users of automation users? And interesting enough, it was not digitalization or sustainability, it was the ease of use, easy programming, making sure that more people, more type of companies can really embrace this technology. And I'm very happy to see that we now in about half an hour at 5 o'clock, we'll have a session about how to getting started with cobots. And I looked about how very many people signed up to this. So I think that's very encouraging and something that will be top on our agenda for quite some time more. So robots is also contributing to making sure we are productive and also use little waste so that we also contribute to a sustainable world. And in that, I think we also contribute to a sustainable world by working in an ecosystem. We work together, companies, schools, universities, consultants, politicians, that we really co-create and drive this technology further. And therefore, I'm very, very happy that the European Robotics Week can take place this year again. And I'm looking forward to the next days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Marina. So again, I'm going to have to ask you to imagine your wave of virtual applause as our audience shows its appreciation. Speaking of appreciation, I should mention the team in Bosnia here, just as Bernd said earlier, the Bosnian team who've put this opening ceremony and indeed the entire central event together. So we're very grateful to them, and we'll learn more about what they've arranged for us all when we hear from Maya a bit later. But right now, I have the pleasure of introducing His Excellency Johan Sadler. Ambassador Sadler was appointed in August 2019 as European Union Special Representative in Bosnia and Herzegovina and head of the EU delegation in Sarajevo. This distinguished role comes as the latest stage in an international and diplomatic career spanning 24 years so far, since Johan's first posting to the Human Rights section of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Vienna in 1996. Just 1 year later, he joined the European Community Monitoring Mission as a political officer in both Sarajevo and Tirana, before moving to Brussels, again as political officer with a key focus on Southeastern Europe. By 2002, Ambassador Sadler was in Washington, USA as the Austrian Embassy's first counselor for political affairs, a 4-year posting before 2 more years back in Vienna, and a return to the Austrian Ministry of Foreign Affairs as deputy head of the Office of the Secretary General. Somewhere between these roles, the ambassador found time and brain space to complete his PhD in political science at Vienna University. I can only imagine he must have been studying on the plane while shuttling between Washington and Vienna. Back to 2008, and next came a break from formal diplomacy at least, and a move into publishing as CEO of German media group WAZ's business in Russia, and then as Axel Springer's Russian business publisher, both roles being based in Moscow. By now it's 2013, and the world of diplomacy brought the ambassador back once again to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Vienna, this time as head of the Western Balkans unit. 3 years later, in 2016, the ambassador was appointed as Austria's ambassador to Albania, and then 3 years again later to last year, his present role here in Bosnia. Ambassador Sattler will speak on the relevance of Bosnia and Herzegovina hosting the central event for the first time, and the importance of Bosnia and Herzegovina strengthening its scientific capabilities. So, Your Excellency, welcome.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. Stephen, thank you. I'm equally red-faced now, of course, but even more happy to be with you today at the opening of the European Robotics Week. It's a real pleasure to be here, to have the privilege to have this event. I think it's the first time in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And I would primarily like to thank Ms. Hadžiselimović for her inspiring engagement and dedication in promoting science and robotics in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And yes, Mr. Lippert, they have difficult names, but I can tell you these people here are very easygoing. They are very easygoing, and if you didn't have the chance, for those of you joining us today from different European Union countries, of visiting Bosnia and Herzegovina, of visiting Mostar, Sarajevo, Travnik, Jajce, please do it. As soon as this ugly virus is over, please include this country in your travel plans. It's a wonderful place. Research, innovation, digitalization, and development of new skills are key to ensuring a brighter future for the citizens of this country. And you know, the citizens of this country have gone through a very difficult history. There was the bloodiest war in Europe after the Second World War took place here, 92 to 95. And we are still, by the way, still recovering. It's still wounds which are there, but the people of this country are very brave. And I must say, it's a real pleasure serving here in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The European Union recognizes the potential of investments in these sectors and will continue to provide ongoing assistance. I've had the opportunity, and I go out quite a bit outside of Sarajevo, outside of my office, but especially also to meet young people, to meet investors, to meet innovators, researchers and entrepreneurs across the country. And I can confidently state that this country is full of creative potential. The European Union is supporting and will continue to support such inspiring initiatives that aim to bring BiH and its citizens closer to European standards. It's not every day that I have the opportunity to have discussions with such outstanding scientific minds, and I'm truly looking forward to seeing what the European Robotics Week has in store for this year, and of course, the latest scientific breakthroughs in robotics. We live in challenging times, and we rely on science perhaps more than ever to offer us solutions and help us overcome the serious challenges on the table. Robotics offers new solutions to societal challenges, from aging to health, smart transportation, security, energy, and the environment. Science and research have always been high on our agenda, on the EU's agenda, and we have promoted and supported scientific excellence within the Union and continue to help the countries that aspire to become our members, like Bosnia and Herzegovina and the other countries here in the Western Balkans region. The rapid increase of the use of robotics in our homes, and this was also alluded to by Ms. Bill just before, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our hospitals, shows how they can benefit our whole society. I hope that this year's program inspires young people, especially also in this region, in the Western Balkans, to take up a career in robotics and research and offer new solutions and fresh ideas. I would like to thank you very much for giving me the honor to be with you today at the opening, and I wish you a great meeting. Thank you. Back to you.
Your Excellency, thank you very much. I particularly liked the way in which you linked everybody else's presentations, which is the mark of a true diplomat. Well done, thank you. So let's hear a little more about what we can hope to discover during the European Robotics Week here in Bosnia. So I'd like to introduce the person who's best placed to tell us about that, the woman who first decided that she wanted to bring the European Robotics Week central event this year to Bosnia. Maja Hadžiselimović Markovic is an engineer, a Master of Science in Mechatronics, Robotics and Automation Engineering from the Faculty of Technical Science in Novi Sad. Maya is a national coordinator for European Robotics Week in Bosnia and Herzegovina. She's herself an experienced robotics engineer with particular focus on the automotive industry. She has a track record in developing human robot applications and research and development of the first industrial exoskeleton, and she's participated in several EU-funded research projects. Maya has made it part of her personal mission actively to share her robotics and automation experience and to motivate young people, especially girls, in Bosnia and Herzegovina to take up robotics and IT as a career. As ERW National Coordinator, Maya is responsible for organising events and promoting national institutions and companies which aim to bring STEM and robotics research to the public. So, over to you, Maya.
Thank you, Steve. I'm more than happy to be here today. And dear ladies, gentlemen, Your Excellency Ambassador Settler, thank you all for joining us. It is my great pleasure to welcome you, at least virtually, to Bosnia and Herzegovina and to the central event of European Robotics Week. I'm above happy and excited to be here today and host this great event together with my colleagues. I would like to thank you everyone for being here. And I would like to share with you a short perspective of European Robotics Week in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Everything started in 2017, when we celebrated for the first time European Robotics Week in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And that gave us a great wind in the back, since we got a great feedback, especially from children and young people, where they showed us how much they enjoyed the different workshops, presentations that we organized for them. Last year, we have celebrated European Robotics Week in more than 40 locations in Bosnia and Herzegovina. And 2 years ago, 40 children and their teachers have visited the central event, then held in Augsburg and hosted by Germany. By hosting this event in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we want to present our country's potential and how we have outstanding students, individuals, universities willing to be part of robotics innovations together with our colleagues from Europe, but whole world, and help our country prosper. As I already mentioned, this year's EU Robotics Week has started, and it will bring many great events and panels and bring robotics closer to the public. Another great event, EU Researchers' Night, is starting this week as well. We will get a chance to meet researchers, discover research, science, and innovation through hands-on experience, science shows, games, and digital activities. In the upcoming days, you can expect panels on Industry 4.0 and robotics development in Western Balkan, but as well panels on diversity in STEM and, of course, robotics for humanity. Besides that, you will have a chance to explore virtually labs of our sponsors, ABB and PAL Robotics, and I'm sure everyone will find something for themselves and you will enjoy it. I'm sure this week will bring us new perspectives, knowledge, contacts, and we will all have fun. Once again, thank you all for being part of this event. I'm more than proud as a national coordinator to host this event and be here with you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Maya. Excellent. Okay, so the opening ceremony is almost complete, but first we'd like to show you a short video celebrating 10 years of European Robotics Week. It's called Robotics for Humanity, made in collaboration with representatives from other countries involved in European Robotics Week. So let's play the video.
Let's all hope the technology will not let us down at this moment.
Do we not have the video?
We have, but we are still waiting for the screen to be shared from our
Okay.
colleagues in Sarajevo.
Okay, I think while we're waiting, anyone who is currently in Sarajevo at the moment and looking out of their window, you may see it's starting to get dark there. So clearly my artificial device of having Sarajevo behind me is not going to work, because clearly the light never changes in the screen behind me. So how are we doing with the video? Looks like it's happening. Excellent. Sound?
Should happen soon.
I think this is how everyone can see all the workings that go on behind the presentation of an event like this. But that's not a bad thing. I think it just shows how much hard work goes into organising an event like this. I think while we're waiting, it will be very helpful to remind people that we have a very interesting panel discussion taking place late on Wednesday afternoon. Here we are.
Robotics for beginners.
Robotics for culture.
Robotics for research.
Robotics for technology.
Robotics for tourism.
Robotics for science.
Robotics for vision.
Robotics for environment.
Robotics for industry.
Robotics for health.
Robotics for art.
Robotics for space.
Robotics for agriculture.
Robotics for peace.
Robotics for progress.
Robotics for employment.
Robotics for the future.
Robotics for life.
Robotics for humanity. Welcome to Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Excellent. So robotics for a Monday evening. That was a great video, worth waiting for. Thank you very much to the people who put that together. Okay, so that's it. Thank you once again to our guests, Bernd Liepert, Marina Bill, His Excellency Johan Sattler, and Maya Hadzi-Salimovic and her team. And so we conclude our opening ceremony for the central event. Please take full opportunity of the excellent variety of events that Maya and the team have arranged. A few clicks is all you need to get there. Meanwhile, I hope you've enjoyed the opening ceremony and that you have a pleasant evening waiting for you. So good evening and goodbye. Okay.
What about a group photo?
Let's do a group photo.